Hello, if you're new to my channel, welcome. Today I'm going to be explaining how to make a basic song on the DAW or DAW for beginners. This is in two parts and this is part one, so enjoy! First of all, what is a DAW? A DAW is a software on the computer that we use to record instruments like guitar, piano, drums into to be part of a song. But we also use it to play electronic instruments that are not hardware instruments, meaning they're on the computer. Okay, so we can play electronic instruments in the DAW, but how do we do this? Two ways, the MIDI keyboard, and we plug the notes in the software, which I'll show later. So first, the MIDI keyboard. A MIDI keyboard is what I have right under my desk right here. It is not a real piano. It's kind of an electric piano that plugs into the computer via USB. And so we use it to play the electronic instruments just like a normal piano. There you go, we got a piano. We also have an electronic instrument called a saw, which is a popular EDM instrument. So, basically, you play it like a normal piano, but the sound is different. It's whatever you want. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to plug in notes in the DAW if you don't know how to play piano. So, what you do is a lot of DAWs, most of them, have tracks already set up for you, and so you want to make sure that you're doing this on a MIDI track. Here, let me show you. MIDI track. You don't want to go to audio, because that's if you're wanting to record something, which I'll get into later. So you want to find a MIDI track. For Ableton, it's sounds, but you can Google how to find sounds to put into, how to play electronically. So, here there's a long list, not very long, of different things, like winds, voices. Here we have brass, guitar unplugged. For today, I'm going to be doing piano and keys. And so you just scroll down and you find the sound that you think sounds interesting. Here we have, right here, FM piano. That sounds interesting. So now, how do I plug in the notes? You want to click and drag up to whatever bar you want. I'm going up to 5 right now. So that's like a 4-bar section. And you want to right click, then click insert MIDI clips. For other DAWs, that might be different. But yeah, you can Google, Google's your friend. Anyways, so you just click on the notes that you want to do. Over here, when you hover over a note in Ableton, on the left here, on the left, you can see it tells you what note it is. Right now, it's E, D sharp, and so that can tell you what note you're using in case you want to get specific about keys and stuff. So, anyways, you click in the notes. You can, if you hover to the very end of it, you can drag it and you can make it longer or whatever you want. Again, this might be different in other DAWs, but Google's your friend. So, anyways, you can make simple melodies. Yeah, and you can experiment with that. Alright guys, so now I'm going to show you a basic melody to get your song started. It's called an arpeggio. Basically, you take the main notes of a chord and you use that to create a melody. So, like in C, the C major chord, we have C, E, G, 1, 3, 5. And so we can use other notes that it can be part of another chord, but we're just going to use the C major chord. So we can only use these notes to create a melody, but it's actually way simpler than you think. We just gotta find creative ways to do it. Like we can make some longer, make some shorter, and we can create different rhythms and melodies. So a popular way to do it is a 1-3-5-3, which is basically where you go C, E, G, then back down to E, and it sounds like this. Boom, da da da. You can do other things too. You can do just quarter notes for each one of these, like that. Dun, dun, dun. And then you can move it up and down, but you want to make sure that you're still in the key of C. Basically, it's all of the white keys, which in Ableton, this might be different for other DAWs, but in Ableton, it's all of the light gray ones. So all of these notes that I am clicking on right now all those notes you can use. You can use the ones up here. You can go all the way up here. Not that one, sorry. You can use that one. You can use that one. All those notes you can use. You cannot use the dark gray ones. On a keyboard, it's black, and these are white. So, you want to make sure you're in the key, and so when you move your arpeggio up and down, you want to make sure you're in the key. So, if I move this down to, let's say, A, I want to make sure that no dark gray lines are being clicked on. So right here, we gotta move it down. So if it's like that, if one of the notes is that, most of the time you want to move down. Sometimes it may be a little different. Google that to make sure that you're right. Google the chord. So yeah, you can hover over it, and to the left over here you can see the note that you are hovering over. And so, okay, that's an A, and so search into Google A chord notes. Now, you don't have to know whether it's major or minor, but I'll give you a hint. If it sounds sad, then it's minor. If it sounds happy, then it's major. So basically, that's how you tell. And so, yeah, that is a basic melody, an arpeggio. Ta-da! There you go. Alrighty, so we've got our main melody completed, and so now we want to add some drums. How do I do this? Well, first you're going to want a MIDI track, or else this is not possible. So, make sure you have a MIDI track right here. Make sure it's armed, just in case you want to record anything, just, so you don't have to worry about it later. So, arm it. On Ableton, you click this circle thing over here. On other DAWs, it may be different, so you can Google how to do that. And then you go to drums, the category. On Ableton, the category is called drums. On other DAWs, there might not even be categories, and there might be other buttons to click to get to there, but you can Google how to do that. So, we're gonna you can scroll down and just find one that you like, but today we're gonna be using a drum called 808. And it's one of my personal favorites, and it's pretty nice to start out with. Also, I recommend 707. That one's also pretty good. I know my first song started with 606, so you can experiment with some of those. Anyways, we're going to be using 808. So let's create a MIDI clip, and as you see, the layout is pretty similar to the melody. It might not be similar for other DAWs, but on Ableton it is. So on the left, we have different drum sounds that we can use. The kick, the snare, the clap, the hi-hat. And so we'll be using those today to create basic drum beats. The first is 4 on the floor. 4 on the floor is where each kick lines up with a beat. Here are the beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so the line that's to the left of the beat, you want to trace that one down until you find the kick, and then click right where you want it. So if I get rid of this kick, the line, scroll down. Also, you can click on here, on Ableton, you can click here on the same line and just place it right there. So there you go. We have our 4 on the floor. Ta-da! And so we can copy and paste that. And you can experiment, you can get rid of one, whatever you want. And after that, you can start moving into some snares and claps. Today we're going to be using claps because it's one of my favorites. So, one of the most popular ways to use claps and snares in the 4 on the floor. I can't speak today. On the 4 on the Okay, 4 on the floor is by doing every other bass drum or kick drum. So, it sounds like this. And you can copy and paste that all throughout here. Whoops. And you can, again, you can experiment. This is all about experimenting. See what works for you, see what doesn't, and so have fun with that. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we're going to get into hi-hats. Hi-hats are a good texture, I should say, on your drum beats. And so a very popular technique is eighth notes, and it sounds like this. Eighth notes are counted like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so to write it with a 4 on the floor is you want a hi-hat lined up with each bass drum, and then you want one directly in the middle of 2 bass drums, like this. It's directly in the middle. And so there you go. You can use that and again experiment and have fun with it. And also a very popular technique for hip hop and rap is where you scroll in. On Ableton, the shortcut is Control, and then you scroll on your mouse, and so then you can find really short notes, and they sound like this. See, it gives a nice texture, and it sounds really, really nice. So, next, I want to show you a new type of drum beat. In our song today, I'm going to be using a 4 on the floor. So later in part 2, you'll be seeing 4 on the floor used. But I want to show you one other really popular trick. So, a kick on 1, and then on beat 3, having a snare. I'll use snare right now since we used clap last times. And so then you can add other notes in between, like this. And that sounds like this. And so you can move the notes around if you want. Here are some examples. That sounds a little weird, but you can find something that is weird but sounds cool. And so, again, experiment. This is all about experimenting. And you can find some cool things. Also, you can add in some other snares. There you go. Also, another hip-hop reference, since I love hip-hop. It's something, I don't know if there's a nickname for it, but I like to call it the 3, the big 3. And this is why. Now, as you see, there's 4 snares, but I like to call it the 3 because I find this one just an extra one, and I really like these two. So you can get rid of this. So yeah, that's a really cool hip-hop technique, and then you can add some kicks in there. There you go. Experiment with that and have fun. Alright, there you go. Those are 2 basic drum beats that you can use in your first song. Or it might not be your first song, but in a song. Alright, so we have the melody, we have the drums. Now we need bass, which provides a very lower part of the song. So, let's go to sounds, or whatever it's called for your DAW. Scroll until you find bass. Now, there's multiple different options here, but you want to make sure that the bass suits the song. Right now, I have a very happy and very up type song, so now we want to find a bass that suits that. Alright guys, so we found the bass. It's called upright synth bass. I kind of like the sound of it. So now we're going to compose a simple melody for this song on bass. So we gotta go up and look at our melody. I always like to focus on the first notes of the measure. That is, if on the bass I want long dragged out notes for each measure. So here we have C, C, A, and it goes up to G, not down, because look, there's a G right here. We want to make sure that we're going up. So we can also go down, though. That is actually a good idea, but today I'm going to go up. So we gotta go back to bass. Keep that in our head, C, C, A, up to G. And so we can do long, dragged out notes here. Here. here, down, up. There we go. So we can do long, dragged out notes that sounds like this. There you go. That sounds pretty nice. If you want to get a little bit more complex, you can add some notes in the measures and not just one note per measure. But when you do that, you want to go back to your melody and you want to make sure that it's going to be following along with these notes, because you can do harmonies, like they don't have to be the same note, but you want to make sure that they're not going to clash. So here we have E, G, E. Okay, so then that means, I mean, this is a little complex, but so you can go, the simplest thing to do is just follow with that. So be like this. Boom. So there you go. That sounds pretty good. And so you want to continue with that. And then you can get to higher notes. And then you can do faster ones. So just experiment with that. There you go. We have a pretty nice bass line now. Thanks for watching, guys. If you learned something today, make sure to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for part 2.